The silence in this grand, echoing apartment feels like a physical accusation, each polished surface reflecting back a life that was supposed to be a masterpiece, not a monument to my downfall. I'm here amidst the very aesthetics I created, and all I taste is bitter ash. They say you reap what you sow, but this feels like a cosmic joke, a punishment disproportionate to my truth. My name is Delilah, and Ethan, he was my husband. We'd been married for 9 years. 9 years of my tireless effort, I tell you, to craft what I truly believed was a life of impeccable taste, subtle sophistication, and undeniable status. Ethan is, on paper, a highly successful software architect. Brilliant, yes, incredibly intelligent, capable of creating complex systems that run the world. He funded our beautiful existence, paid the astronomical bills for this apartment, for the designer clothes, for the exclusive events. He was, by all accounts, a good provider. The kind people quietly envied, the kind my own mother always praised, wishing her own husband had been as reliable. But reliable can also mean limited. So incredibly, frustratingly limited. Ethan was a genius with code, a master of logic, but utterly devoid of aesthetic sensibility, social grace, or any true understanding of the finer things in life. Our conversations, left to his devices, revolved around server uptime, cloud architecture, and the endless minutiae of his projects. When I tried to inject some artistry, some life, suggest a gallery opening, a high-fashion runway show, or even just a nuanced discussion about modern abstract art, he'd always have a reason. That's not really my area, Delilah. Or, I'm just not seeing the practical application. Or, I'm just so tired, darling, my brain is fried from work. Always tired. Always busy. Always prioritizing his structured, controlled world over my vibrant, expansive needs. He saw my desires as frivolous distractions from his grand plan for our secure future, our optimized life. He even chose beige socks. Beige. With the navy suit. It was a constant battle, a daily exercise in subtle despair. I felt like I was slowly suffocating, a rare orchid wilting in a perfectly climate-controlled, yet utterly charmless environment. I am a woman who thrives on beauty, on elegance, on vibrant connection, on feeling adored, elevated, and stimulated. Ethan's affection, while constant, had become routine, almost perfunctory. A polite peck on the cheek, a quiet "good night, dear." The passion we once had, the undeniable spark that drew us together in those exhilarating early days, had long since been replaced by a comfortable, quiet companionship. And comfortable can be a killer of the soul, especially when you know there's so much more out there, so much more you are capable of. If only you had a partner who truly understood and matched your vision. I'd look at him across the dinner table, perfectly composed, impeccably dressed in the suits I selected for him, and feel nothing. Just a vast, aching emptiness, a profound sense of unfulfillment, punctuated by the faint click of his mechanical keyboard, as he answered work emails during what was supposed to be our intimate time. I genuinely believed it was my sacred responsibility, as his wife, to help him grow, to polish him, to elevate him to the level of sophistication I knew he could achieve, if only he listened. He was a diamond in the rough, a man of substance who simply needed my brilliant refinement. I saw his potential even if he didn't, or perhaps especially because he was so oblivious to it. His wardrobe was too pedestrian, his social interactions too blunt, his conversations too technical. He needed to be introduced to the finer things, to a more expansive view of the world. And I was the one, the only one capable of doing it. Every suggestion, every critique, every helpful tip was for his own good. It was love, really. A tough love, perhaps, but love nonetheless. A demanding, unwavering commitment to his betterment. And then there was his hobby. His hobby. Ethan, this brilliant software architect, spent his evenings and weekends in what he called his workshop, a converted spare bedroom I could have used for a more appropriate home office or a meditation space. In that room amidst wires, tiny trees, and miniature buildings, he built intricate, sprawling model railway dioramas. These weren't just simple toy trains. Oh no. These were elaborate miniature worlds with working signals, tiny landscapes, meticulously painted figures, and complex wiring that he designed himself. He spoke about them with a quiet passion, a childlike wonder that, frankly, I found embarrassing. I viewed his little trains as childish, embarrassing, and an utterly pointless waste of space and, more importantly, money. He invested his money I believe should be spent on our home, on my necessary upgrades. More designer furniture, rare antiques, exclusive art, lavish entertaining on his ridiculous hobby. I often called it his dust collector, a toy, or my personal favorite, the man cave monstrosity. I resented the endless hours he spent hunched over it, meticulously gluing miniature trees, when he could have been engaging with me, or networking, or simply appreciating the real art I had placed in our living room. I'd frequently make snide comments about his little trains in front of our friends, passing it off as a quirky, endearing fault of his, something I tolerated with a knowing smile, painting myself as the patient, long-suffering spouse. It was therapy for me, a necessary release for the sheer absurdity of it all. I remember one particularly exasperated moment at a dinner party. We had just acquired a stunning abstract sculpture for the foyer, and I was discussing its placement. Ethan, predictably, interjected with a comment about its load-bearing capacity if someone leaned on it. I laughed, a light, dismissive sound. "Oh, Daniel, darling," I'd cooed, using his former name from my mind, a subtle slip. "Always the engineer. He's just worried it might disrupt the delicate ecosystem of his trains." I winked at Sophia, who giggled. Liam, however, looked uncomfortable, his gaze flicking from me to Ethan, who had simply gone quiet, a familiar, distant look in his eyes. I even subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, sabotaged his time and space for the hobby. I'd claim the workshop was needed for my latest design project, forcing him to dismantle parts of his layout. I'd schedule last-minute social engagements on his dedicated train nights. I'd leave design magazines open on his workbench, filled with images of sleek, modern spaces, hoping to subliminally inspire him to abandon his miniature worlds for real-world elegance. I was convinced I was guiding him, subtly pushing him towards a more sophisticated existence. It was for his own good, ultimately. My condescension, my public humiliation of him, and my increasing demands for money, which I spent on frivolous luxuries while scoffing at his train budget, grew exponentially. He simply earned it for me to spend on what truly mattered. I saw myself as the visionary, the creative force, the true architect of our public image. His quiet nature, once thoughtful, became boring. His unwavering patience, once a comfort, became a sign of his utter lack of spirit. And the pressure cooker of my frustration had to find an outlet. That outlet, inevitably, was our social life. Ethan was a methodical and patient man. He had tried for years to share his passion with me, to explain the intricacies of his miniature worlds, only to be met with my barely concealed derision or outright dismissal. He eventually stopped trying, retreating into his workshop more often, his presence in the apartment becoming almost ghost-like. I attributed it to his typical introversion, his absorption in his boring work. I was too busy living my life, curating my image, to truly notice. Unbeknownst to me, Ethan started meticulously documenting every instance of my belittling comments, my interference with his hobby, and my excessive, often wasteful spending. He kept detailed notes, timestamps, even audio recordings of certain particularly cutting remarks I'd made in his presence, or overheard me making to friends. He was building a file, not out of malice initially, but because my constant gaslighting made him question his own perceptions, his own reality. He was, in his logical engineering mind, debugging our relationship. He also, completely hidden from me, found a way to finance his largest, most ambitious model railway project through a small private investor who recognized its engineering brilliance and artistic merit. He channeled his quiet fury, his wounded pride, into this one magnificent creation. He kept it all completely hidden from me, working late into the night, pouring his soul into it, while I thought he was just engrossed in his usual coding. He even rented a small, secure storage unit to house the growing masterpiece, paying for it with funds I never knew he had. My focus was on what was ours, his was on what was his. The climax arrived at the annual City Gala of Art and Design. It was my night. I had meticulously planned every detail, from the guest list of influential patrons to my stunning custom-made gown. I was slated to give a keynote address, unveiling a masterpiece design in our home, a new salon space I had completely redecorated, funded by what Ethan thought was money for a critical system upgrade for his business, but which I deemed more important for my career launch. I intended to take full credit, of course, for the vision and execution. Ethan was, as usual, my quiet, supportive accessory, looking handsome in the tuxedo I chose. The lights dimmed. The spotlight hit me. I walked onto the stage, a vision of confidence and grace. I began my speech, recounting my journey, my vision, my dedication to beauty. I talked about my aesthetic principles, my drive for perfection. I smiled at Ethan in the audience, a patronizing gesture, acknowledging his silent support. Then, just as I was about to introduce my masterpiece design of our salon, the projector screen behind me, which was supposed to display images of my work, flickered. A different image appeared. Not my salon. Instead, it was a breathtaking, sweeping shot of an incredibly detailed, vast, and utterly stunning model railway diorama. It was a miniature world, alive with tiny lights, moving trains, meticulously crafted landscapes. It was magnificent. A hush fell over the room. I froze, my carefully constructed smile faltering. What was happening? This wasn't my presentation. Then Ethan, calm and composed, walked onto the stage. He held a small remote. He clicked. The image shifted to a title slide. The Atlas Project. A Journey of Precision and Passion by Ethan Thorne. My stomach dropped. Ethan rarely used his last name publicly. Thorne. My husband. He took the microphone. His voice, usually quiet, now resonated with a quiet authority that stunned me. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his gaze sweeping over the astonished crowd, completely bypassing me. "I apologize for this unexpected deviation. My wife, Delilah, was about to share her vision of beauty, and while I appreciate her eye for design in our home, I thought it was time to share a different kind of masterpiece." He gestured to the screen. "This is the Atlas Project. My personal pursuit, my creative outlet, a culmination of years of quiet dedication and engineering precision. It's not a toy, as some have called it. It's a fully functional, highly complex, and meticulously crafted world." He spoke about the intricate coding, the custom-built circuits, the innovative use of 3D printing. He explained how it had just been acquired by the National Museum of Engineering for an astronomical sum, recognized as a groundbreaking intersection of art and technology. He even showed a brief video of the museum director praising his singular vision and unwavering dedication. The crowd erupted in applause, murmurs of awe rippling through the room. They weren't looking at me. They were looking at him. At his triumph. My moment, my grand unveiling, was utterly, completely, irrevocably overshadowed. And finally, Ethan continued, his voice calm, but with an edge I now recognized as cold steel. "This project was funded entirely by my independent ventures and executed in spaces I secured away from home. Because, as the saying goes, some passions, like some truths, thrive best when protected from certain criticisms." He glanced at me, a brief, chilling flash of his granite eyes. It seems some partners are better suited to appreciating the final product, rather than understanding the journey. My face burned. I wanted to disappear. He had publicly humiliated me. My meticulously cultivated image, my grand design, was obliterated in front of everyone. Then two impeccably dressed men, David's lawyers, approached the stage. One handed a thick envelope to Ethan. Ethan took it, then with a calm, deliberate movement walked towards me. He handed the envelope directly to me. "These are the divorce papers, Delilah," he said, his voice quiet for my ears only. "My lawyers have an ironclad case detailing years of documented emotional abuse, financial negligence, and public humiliation. You will be leaving with very little. I'm taking the house, and everything in it that matters to me. Goodbye." He didn't wait for a response. He simply turned, walked off the stage, and disappeared into the applauding crowd, leaving me standing there, clutching the divorce papers, my masterpiece, a distant, forgotten memory. Now I'm here, alone, in my apartment, which will soon be his. My carefully constructed life, my social standing, my financial security, annihilated. The friends who laughed at my jokes about Ethan, the ones who envied my perfect life, have completely ghosted me. They don't want to be associated with this. My parents are disappointed and don't understand why I couldn't just be happy with what I had, or be more appreciative. Everyone is blaming me. Me, the one who was just trying to be authentic. The one who was just speaking her mind. The one who was just trying to inject some life and sophistication into a dead-end marriage. It's not fair. How can a few harmless jokes, a little venting my genuine efforts to elevate him, justify all of this? He's acting like I'm the monster, the manipulative one. But I was the one stuck with the emotionally unavailable, dull, predictable man who refused to see my brilliance, and then weaponized his petty hobby and my own aspirations against me. I was the one who deserved more. I was the victim here. And now I'm paying for it. It's truly, utterly unjust. And I'm left to pick up the pieces of a life that feels like it was cursed from the start. A cruel joke played solely at my expense.